Hey, how's everybody doing today? Hey, we are live and we're talking about NFL week number 5, and we're going to talk a little bit about week number 4 before we talk about week number 5. Hey, I'm Lonnie Washington along with Tony Robinson. He is in Texas. I'm in Arizona, and we are talking NFL. How you doing tonight, Tony?
Pretty good. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. So both our teams lost last week, so
Gotta bring
it's
that
kind
up.
of bittersweet when when the team win. You had the big win last week. We had to win over the Raiders last week. But doing the show when your team loses, it's not as fun. But you know what? We here to serve, right? We football fans at the end of the day. So we like the game of football. We watch a lot of football, whether our team wins or loses. And that's one of the reasons why we actually are doing this podcast and going live, kind of like just to fulfill a passion that we have for the love of the game. Is that right, Tony?
Yes, sir. All day, every day.
All right. All right. Cool. All right. So now everybody's a little warmed up here. Let's go with week 4. I'm gonna give a quick rundown and then we're gonna go back and start talking about some games. So, you know what? Here we go. Week number 4. All right, now the week started out, on Thursday night, and the Seattle Seahawks got a big win, and it was, against the Arizona Cardinals, which was a big win. It was actually a pretty good game. The Eagles and the Bills remain undefeated. The Giants upset with rookie quarterback Jackson Dart, and the Ravens injury to Lamar Jackson. It seems like now that we know that he's probably going to miss about 2 to 3 weeks, which is it's time for the AFC North teams to like get it going. This is the time to start punching, while kicking while the Ravens are down temporarily, right? So that's a big one, and the Chiefs kind of handed handed it to the Ravens, even though
Mhm.
the injury to Lamar Jackson. The Dolphins, they won last night. These 2 Monday night games, they were bad. They were pretty bad. I mean, 3 of the teams were bad. The Denver Broncos are a good quality team. So, it's what we expected, right? The Steelers, they win their first NFL game in Ireland. The Cowboys and Packers had a dramatic tie in overtime, and we'll get to that game in a second. And overall, the Eagles are now 4-0, right? They secured another victory. They remain one of the league's 2 undefeated teams after holding off to come back to the Buccaneers. Jalen Hurts, he was 0 for 8 in the second half. He had no completions in the second half of that game, and they still won. So that says a lot about how good the Philadelphia Eagles are. They can win without their quarterback completing one pass in the second half. I didn't stutter. He didn't complete one pass in the second half, and it's causing some drama over there right now by not being able to complete passes. And a little bit of drama going on there. And you know what? The Giants upset the Chargers. I'm not quite sure what happened in that game. That was kind of crazy too. And the Texans finally get their first win over the lowly Texans. So, you know, Tony, you're looking at these games last week, and you're saying to yourself, after our teams got pounded, right? And you're looking at some of these other games, but this Dallas Cowboy game, with the Green Bay Packers, everybody thought that the Dallas Cowboys was going to get boat raced, right, by the
Mhm.
Green Bay Packers. And you see the opening drive and see how the Packers came out and they take an early lead, and then all of a sudden things start to unravel with the Green Bay Packers. Um, I know you didn't watch the whole game. I wish I didn't watch the whole game because it ended up in a tie, 40-40. But does this game say more about the Green Bay Packers or the Dallas Cowboys?
Where do I start? I mean, I had Dak Prescott. I had the choice between Dak Prescott and Baker Mayfield in my fantasy draft or my fantasy league. I picked Baker Mayfield because I thought that Dak was gonna, not do so well against the Green Bay Packers defense. Um, but I have to say, it says a lot about the Green Bay Packers defense. Are they are they who we thought they would be, or like because we thought everybody thought they were going to be like this dominating defense, me included, because I picked them up in my fantasy team and stuff like that. But I thought they were just going to get blown out. I thought Dallas was going to get blown out. That's why I switched the game to something else. But I feel like the Green Bay Packers offense is not that consistent. And I mean, they put up 40 points, but when it comes to
everybody does against the Cowboys. Everybody looks like world beaters against the Cowboys.
Yeah, but the previous game against the Browns, they only did what they did. So they can barely do anything against our team. So it's like I don't know if it's to answer your question, I don't know if it's Green Bay or the Dallas Cowboys, because they both kind of, we know what the Dallas Cowboys are, but you know how Jerry and Jones said something about Parsons about, we traded away one person to get a whole lot of stuff or whatever he said. And I feel like right now Jerry's right. Like you said, we talked about this earlier. So Jerry's actually, I guess you can say he's right. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I got a lot to say, right? Because I mean, when you start to think about, okay, first of all, let me just set this up a little bit. So, it's Sunday night, right? And you got this primetime game, and you're saying, okay, I got to watch some of this game to see how it's going to pan out. Well, my cousin called me from Maryland. He's a Dallas Cowboy fan. He was like, I said, man, you calling me in the game about to come on? Oh, the game about to come on? I said, hey, you ain't got to worry about watching anyway. I said, the Dallas Cowboys going to get smoked, right? So he says, nah, man, he ain't going to get smoked. They're going to be right there in this game. Watch. So he gets off the phone and everything. And I start watching this game, and I'm saying to myself, yeah, I'm going to watch some of this game. But if you are a Packers fan, okay, and you are a Packers fan, and you see the first 2 weeks of this season, you guys are like the bullies of the midway, first 2 weeks of the season, which I call like the extended preseason, right? Because everybody is trying to find out, what's going on. The people are everybody's still getting in shape because the starters don't really play in preseason games and everything like that. But you look like world beaters. Okay, now week 3, you go to Cleveland, and now you're supposed to smoke the Cleveland Browns, all right? And my guy Tony here says, nah, wait a minute. Our defense is something to contend with. So I watched this game. I saw that game, and they get beat by the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns is 0-2, and they get beat by the Cleveland Browns. Okay, so now you say, man, they're going to be smoking mad when they go into Dallas. They're going to be mad. Micah Parsons returning back to the scene of the crime, and he going to be rearing to go. He's going to have 5 sacks, 4 or 5 tackles for loss, and he's going to be in Dak Prescott face all game long. And lo and behold, they still had a hangover from the beatdown that they got in Cleveland, right? This was a major, crazy beatdown that I think that the Dallas Cowboys gave them, even though it was a tie game. I mean, you thought that, let's just say that I got to give Dak Prescott some credit. Now, being a Washington fan, it's hard for me to say that, but I got to give credit where credit is due, right? Dak Prescott is not a scrub. And Jerry Jones said after the game that, hey, we basically we can't live without Dak Prescott, but we can be just fine without Micah. I'm paraphrasing here, but and just what he said. So you got a $60 million quarterback that he came out playing like a $60 million quarterback. And he has Pickens as his number 1 wide receiver because CeeDee Lamb is hurt. Pickens ran roughshod all through the defense of the Green Bay Packers. And Green Bay is actually lucky that they were even able to kick the final field goal to tie the game in overtime. So I think that if you're a cheesehead tonight, you have to be soul searching a little bit, and you really don't know what direction that your team is going to go. But the Cowboys, they got a number 1 ranked offense and a 32 ranked defense. So I want everybody to slow their roll on the Dallas Cowboys, okay? Don't get too happy because remember, Cleveland beat them the week before. So I think if you're a Green Bay fan, you really don't know what team you're going to get week to week, right? And this goes to show that this is a week-to-week league, right? You can't get too high. You can't get too low on any given week about your football team. And it's a long season. and there's a ton of injuries this year that is going to shake up every division. So I think that there's a lot of parity. It's every team has an opportunity to win it. And if the Dallas Cowboys defense gets straightened out, I hate to say it, they could be a potential playoff team because they're going to get a lot of teams trouble. And, you throw CeeDee Lamb back in the mix, and with that Dallas Cowboys running attack that they got now, I mean, they could put 40 on the Green Bay Packers. It looks pretty scary over there in Dallas. But pump the brakes, because the Dallas Cowboys will always do something to disappoint their fans. So just be sure the disappointment is coming. Now, I'm going to transition now into what I said last week. Now, I'm not going to eat crow like I ate crow last week, because the Cleveland Browns got beat up pretty bad with the Detroit Lions. I think it was 34-10, right? It was a 24-point game. And I said to myself, I was feeling good, right? I was feeling good because I wasn't going to eat crow this week, right? And but my buddy Tony, we've been friends for years now, right? Many, many years. And I know how much he loves Cleveland Browns. So I felt bad for him in a way. Nah, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. But he's texting me this whole game and telling me that they need to bench Flacco. Tony, what now has you convinced that two potential rookie quarterbacks can come in and take over the Cleveland Browns offense and have some success and put some wins on the board while Lamar Jackson is nursing a hamstring?
The main thing, let's keep the main thing, right?
Okay,
so
I got you.
We got, just take it from the basics of an offense, right? We know our defense is good, right? Okay. This is what I have to get everybody to understand about why people are so pissed off with Joe Flacco. We love Joe Flacco. What he did in 2023, what he did for us during that time, it was great. We loved it. But he's 2 years removed from that person, who he was. He's over 40 now. In football, that's different. It's not like LeBron James, at 41. He's turning 41 this year. It's not like that. Mm-hmm. Basketball is different than football, but I digress. So when you have a quarterback that can't move in a pocket, he's stationary. Everybody wants to blame the line, but being able to protect a quarterback that's stationary is very hard in today's game because the defense knows where the quarterback is going to be every single time. He's not moving around. So he's not static. He's stagnant. He stays in one spot and he moves really slow.
He's so like stagnant water, man. He's like stagnant water.
You can get to stagnant. You can walk through stagnant water. That's easy. So when it comes to a quarterback that can't move, he's not mobile. They can send so many different blitz packages at him, and he's confused because he thinks it's coming this way and it's coming the opposite way, or he's holding the ball too long because they say in the wide receivers aren't getting open. They don't have good wide receivers, but the wide receivers are a product of the quarterback. The offensive line, even though the offensive line can do a better job, but it's still broken down by what the quarterback is doing because the quarterback is calling the coverages. If it's not right, then they don't know where to block because he doesn't even see. I mean, the center is working with him too, but the quarterback has to see everything. He's calling everything out, but it seemed like he's just lost out there. So I'm sitting here like watching this dude. I'm like, what are we doing? He throws the interception to the other team. None of our receivers are over there, but you want to say the offensive line is the issue. He's throwing the ball. I wish I had a clip of it. I wish I had a clip of this interception he threw. He threw it to the left side of the field, right to the defense, and the defender caught it like on he did like a sideline toe drag swag, and he's like, "Are you playing catch with the defense?" So, and the only bright spot of our Browns offense right now is Quinshon Judkins, and he's the run through him. I don't know why they thought that Flacco should be throwing 30 plus passes or whatever it is at this point. He hasn't shown us anything, right? So that takes me to the defensive side. Oh, they're saying like, oh, they allowed the Lions to put up 34 points. But when you have no ball movement on the offensive side, you put the defense on the field a lot more times. You're giving the offense of the Detroit Lions, a high-powered offense, more opportunity to score. So eventually the defense is going to get tired. So you can't blame the defense for getting 34 points put up on them. You have to blame the offense, and it starts with the quarterback. And I feel like either one of the rookies, no, I'm not going to take any sides, but any Dylan Gabriel or Shador can come in and move the ball better than Flacco, in my opinion, because they can extend plays and move out of the pocket. If you can't move out of the pocket in today's NFL, you can't play quarterback. That's just my
How about
humble
reading
opinion.
defenses, though? I mean, Flacco's the veteran. He hasn't been able to figure out and read defense and get to the ball to your playmakers. And now you asking a rookie, you're asking basically, Dylan Gabriel to come in, read defenses, and all the stuff that all the checks at the line, and all the stuff that these teams are going to throw at a rookie quarterback. What makes you think that Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders can come in and actually do better than what Flacco was doing overall? Because is it wide receiver talent, or do you think Flacco's time has just passed him by and he's just not seeing things clearly because of old age? Because I can't see Dylan Gabriel coming in and doing better than Joe Flacco.
Well, it just comes down to the basics of getting out of the pocket. I believe, because playing quarterback, I played quarterback when I was younger. Just knowing that I didn't play at a high level, of course. So, we can just don't come for me in the comment section. but I'm just saying, like, when you look at it from like an eyeball test, you're looking at the eyeball test, right? Anybody in our offense that can get out of the pocket, you can get those 5 to 10 yards. Because Flacco tried to run. I posted something on my TikTok about this. Flacco, it was like 2nd and 1 or 2nd and 2. He he's back in the pocket, like looking around to throw the ball, but then he bails out. He finally like took out and tried to run, and he saw somebody coming. Like he was probably like 4 yards away from him. He could have got the first. He slid down right before the first down. And I'm like, dude, just go get the first down. So for me, I feel like just being able to be mobile, either one of these quarterbacks can get out of the pocket and go if it's open. They're going to go get that first down. And just that's extending plays. Like if you can't extend plays and in the NFL, if they're extending a play, like rolling out, the receivers go with them. They're trained to go with them. Right. So it's going to open up passing lanes and stuff like that. Just going off schedule. This is what Mahomes make a living off of. Mm-hmm. He'll be in the pocket, but then he rolls out, and then everybody's rotating towards him. Kelsey does all this stuff. Like I feel like a mobile quarterback can open up the offense. It can unlock everybody.
Well, yeah. You guys better start unlocking, right? Because you have a Lamar Jackson that's got 2 to 3 weeks with a hamstring injury. These hamstring injuries, they could take even longer, right? Depending, and he's a running quarterback, so he uses legs, and Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, they got a history in the playoffs, right? And transitioning to this game was crazy, and it was just a beatdown from the beginning. I mean, now you have a Kansas City Chiefs, they're out of preseason mode and they're go mode now, right? And it's amazing that the Ravens are at 1-3, and both of these teams needed this win, right? But it was just no fanfare at all when you looked at this game. I mean, the Chiefs came out right out of the gate, they dominated, and now the Chiefs are sitting at 2-2, and you have a 1-3 Ravens team. Everybody had the Ravens in the Super Bowl this year because of all the talent that they had. Do you think that the Ravens have a chance now to rebound and go to the playoffs? Let's just talk about playoffs. Do you think that they can rebound from a 1-3 start? And you got Pittsburgh sitting at 3-1, and they haven't done really, really well on offense. However, their defense is creating a lot of turnovers. And your NFC North, your AFC North now is looking pretty. I mean, it's wide open. It's wide open.
Playoffs? You talking about playoffs? Like my boy, old school coach Mora. I don't know, man. Like if the defense doesn't look that great to me, like the old defenses of Ravens pass and stuff like that, I don't think they're missing something. And it starts there because if they can't stop anybody, besides the Browns, I mean, we can't until we get a quarterback. They can't. They're gonna stop. They're gonna stop us. But I feel like Lamar, if as long as Henry doesn't keep fumbling the ball, he can get back to his normal ways. Like with Lamar Jackson being out during this time frame, I think even though people don't see Cooper Rush as a good quarterback, I feel like he's a great backup
Ooh,
because he does it. He has spurts where he can get you like 3 or 4 games
he
to
has, yeah.
allow Lamar Jackson to rest and get and heal himself and stuff like that. Because it's like 1 to 3 weeks that he's going to be out or whatever like that. I feel like Cooper Rush can kind of bring a different dynamic of a quarterback to that team that's going to open up more passing for the top, receivers and stuff like that, and then tight end and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like, and then you got a legit running back behind you that's going to get you those yards. I feel like Henry's going to get more carries during this time frame while Lamar Jackson's out because Lamar Jackson usually runs the ball a lot more. So it's going to give more opportunities to Henry. Hopefully he doesn't, fumble the ball in those extra carries. But I feel like Cooper Rush can manage the game and not he doesn't throw too many interceptions. I don't think. From watching him in Dallas, he does pretty
He's
well.
solid. He's a solid
Yeah,
backup, but backups are backups for a reason. I mean, he did come in and stabilize the Dallas
yeah,
Cowboys team, and he's got a lot of playing time because Dak Prescott has been hurt.
yeah,
But I always say this, backups are good for about 3 to 4 games until the defenses start game planning for them. And
yeah.
then because the defenses are seeing these guys for the first time in a long time, and now Cooper Rush is on a different team, so he's running a totally different offense. But I think that he has an opportunity to come in, for at least 1 or 2 games, maybe to make an impact in the favor of the Ravens. But once they start catching up to him, I don't think it's a sustainable thing because you have an elite quarterback in Lamar Jackson that he's just going to do what he does when he plays. But I think he's in a funk right now too. Overall, and the whole offense is in the funk.
Who you said Ravens
Yeah, the
for
Ravens. He's in the
yeah,
funk
yeah.
right now.
So, but
Anyway, so a change might be good at this point, but only
yeah,
for a temporary couple
right.
games.
Well, looking at this schedule, who they have upcoming is the Texans, the Rams, and I mean maybe
Yeah,
they can, because these next two games for Cooper Rush going to be tough. You got a tough Texans defense, you
good
got a
defense.
Rams
Yep.
defense that's really good. The only if he plays the Bears and the rest of those games, the Bears and the Dolphins is what's going to give him some shine or whatever. But we'll
Mm-hmm.
see.
It's gonna be interesting. So I got to give my hat off to the Giants. All right, they're in my division with the Commanders, and we talked about the Cowboys. The New York Football Giants, they made a bold move, right? And they started Jackson Dart, and he got his first win against the undefeated Chargers. I don't know if they woke up late because they on the West Coast time and they had to travel across the East Coast time zone, but they got manhandled. They got totally manhandled against the New York Giants, and Jackson Dart came in. I mean, he's running. I mean, he's scrambling and he's doing all this stuff, and he gave that team a boost, right? And Scatterboo, obviously, we knew he was going to be a terror when whoever picked him up, and I'm surprised there weren't more teams after him. But when you got those two rookies in the backfield, they're playing with reckless abandonment, and they really took it to the Chargers in that game. And I looked at the score and I says, oh man, and their defense. You said something about the Giants' defense. The Giants' defense is not bad. It's been their offense that hasn't been, doing what they need to do, but the defense has actually been pretty good. So,
Mhm.
Looking at Jackson Dart, they made the bold move, and there is some talk that there might be a quarterback change in Cleveland. Now, do you think that the Cleveland Browns are looking at the success that a rookie had in Jackson Dart that came in and infused that offense, made a difference in the Browns potentially making that move because they saw what Jackson Dart did in his first start, beating a good defense and getting their first win in New York?
Yeah, I mean that's what we talked about earlier today. Like I feel like
Yeah,
I've always said the Giants has been like a quarterback away from being a pretty solid team because they've always had a good defense, a solid defense. They weren't great, obviously, but they added some pieces and in the draft and stuff like that. And now they're like a solidified. They just need a quarterback that can manage the game and don't turn the ball over and stuff like that. That's why they had to move on for Russell Wilson. I
Mhm.
feel like the Browns kind of like, I think every group that I'm on for the Browns kind of was talking the same way. Like, you see what the Giants did. Why not make the change now?
Mhm.
We're 1-3. Let's get a fresh player in there. We got two rookies we need to see. Like, we
Mhm.
don't want to see what Flacco's doing anymore. He's done, right?
Yep.
So, but yeah, I mean, the Giants, this game was really, really good. Jackson Dart came in, threw one touchdown and had a rushing touchdown. Coming in, just doing the yeoman's work, coming in and doing what he has to do to get the job done. And that's all
Oh
we
yeah.
need. We don't need you throwing. He only threw 20 times, right? We don't need you throwing over 30 times. Just manage the game and don't go away from the scheme. Just manage the game. Don't turn the ball over. And he
Manage the
didn't turn
game.
the
Yeah.
ball over. Yeah, he didn't turn the ball over, and it unlocks. And throughout the season, they'll give him more. They'll open up the offense a little more for him. But in the beginning, just slow roll it until he's ready to move forward. Just like with the Browns, they can do the same thing.
Yeah. And that was I think that we're probably going to see a change somewhere in with the Browns now. Um. Okay. So the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they're just finding ways to win. Jalen
Yeah.
Hurts, 18-0 in his last 18 starts. They're finding a way to win. But AJ Brown, he tweeted, some cryptic stuff this week after the game. He's not happy. Um, how can they continue to not get Brown the ball and and still win, but you still have some kind of friction in the locker room? I mean, we're looking at something like last year, or is this a little bit different? Because if you keep telling, if Brown keeps telling the offensive coordinator, "Give me the ball," and Jalen Hurts, "Give me the ball," and yet the ball's not going to him, and then you have Jalen Hurts 0 for 8 with no receptions at all, no completions at all in the second half. Is this type of winning sustainable for the Philadelphia Eagles if they don't continue to get Brown in the game? And their running game hasn't been that spectacular either. But yet they're 4-0. Their defense is good. Their special teams have been spectacular. Won some games for them. But I'm not quite sure what I mean, they're 4-0. So can you complain about them still? So what do you think about that situation in Philly?
Well, just like you said, they're 4-0. So, like, as a team player, like, I'm a team player. As long as we win it, I'm fine. If we're losing and I'm not getting any touches, I'm pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm
Yeah.
winning, like when I play basketball, try to go professionally and stuff like that. As long as we're winning, I'm doing other things to help us win. I don't got to score 20 plus points because that's the kind of player I am. I'm going to do everything else to help the team win, right? Basketball and
Right.
football is a little different because they have
They're
contract
different.
incentives and stuff like that. It's a whole bunch of different things that's involved in why he's pissed, because he's not hitting those incentives
Incentives,
maybe.
yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say he's wrong, but it's 2 years in a row you can't keep going down and spiral with him because he's going to want to move somewhere else
Yeah.
eventually.
He is.
When you think about it, because it's like, but they did say a couple weeks ago that they're going to try to run the ball more because
Mm-hmm.
it's moving into the colder weather. They take the air out of
Yeah.
the ball anyway, usually, because they want to run the ball more, in different, cold weather and stuff like that. So they don't pass as much. So I don't know if it's going to be sustainable. I don't know, it's going to be tough because he's going to get even worse. He's going to get more pissed if he's not getting the ball, I believe. So, I
If
mean,
he's
there's nothing
not getting
there's
the
nothing he
ball.
can do. There's nothing. Receivers, they can say, you can say they're prima donnas or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
they help the team go. You have to. The NFL, the way it is now, is you got to pass the ball. This is not the 1960s or whatever when they were running the ball and, like, before the forward pass came out or whatever. They
Right.
have to pass the ball eventually. So you're gonna start putting 8 in the box where you can't run the ball that well, and now you're gonna have to pass. So eventually they're gonna have to get the ball to him.
Yeah. So that's crazy. And you know, we saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get their first loss too, um, and we saw the Colts get their first loss. Right, they go across the country, and they have some hiccups here and there, but I think that this game could have been won by the Colts. The Colts made some really bad errors with their wide receiver, having a touchdown and tried to stick the ball out and lost the ball to the end zone, which took away 7 points off the board. And then, you know, blocking, illegal block by the same receiver took points off the board for his team. So that's 14 points right there that should have been there for them. Now, everybody's going to say, well, the Rams and Puka Nakua and all this, that they're good, they're great. But yet this is the same Rams team that gave up a 19-point lead against the Philadelphia Eagles and lost last week. And now they kind of get bailed out because of self-inflicted wounds from the Colts. So are the Colts for real? I mean, looking at that game, do you say the Colts took a step back, or the Colts is in it? You think the Colts still can be a playoff team because even though this loss, it's a bad loss, but against a good team, and they did it to themselves.
Well, I feel the Colts, just like we talked about on the previous week's podcast, I feel like they ran into a legitimate team. Like we said, like they're playing against the NFC West, and they're playing in the cupcake division in the AFC. Is AFC West? Whatever division they're in, they're playing.
AFC.
Yeah, I was
AFC
like,
South.
They're not technically West, but they are West.
Yeah, AFC South.
Yeah, AFC South. Okay, yeah. So they're playing against some teams that aren't doing so well right now. So, and they beat, I think, a couple of those teams. But when you go and play against the AFC West, they always have formidable teams that will put it on you. So, and I just think they didn't understand how good that offense was over there with the Rams. When you got Puka Nakua, you got just Puka Nakua had 10 catches, I believe, in the first half. He was killing these cats and 100 plus. And I'm like, come on, man, y'all gonna stop this dude? I had him in fantasy. I had him in daily fantasy, so he's helping me win some money there. But so when you look at it, I feel like they have a chance because they still play every team in their division twice. So that can help their record. And I don't know who else they play outside of the NFC West. They still may have a chance to, make the playoffs with maybe like a 10-7 record, maybe, or I don't know. We just got to see how they play against. Maybe they can get a win against Arizona.
I think so. I think I think they should get a win against. Well, we don't know, right? Because this is a week-to-week league. People surprise. They'll surprise you. Yeah. So we're gonna keep moving here, and we're gonna go to this upcoming week 5, right? And there's a lot going on, a lot of storylines in week 5. Minnesota plays the Cleveland Browns in London. And these games and overseas, I don't like them because you got to get up super early to watch them. Obviously the Philadelphia Eagles and Buffalo Bills are still 4-0. It's crazy. And then you have a Monday night showdown between the Jacksonville Jaguars, that's 3-1, against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm actually going to be wanting to watch this game because I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is actually pretty solid. Like really, really good. And I think they lead the league in creating turnovers. They're just their defense is good. Now I still think Lawrence is a little suspect, right? But I think it's going to be a good game to watch. And of course, Jaden Daniels for the Commanders. He travels to the Chargers and in LA, and we think that he's going to play this week. I think they held him out last week, as a late scratch, but I think he's going to play this week. And a game that I'm thinking about attending. I'm only a 6-hour drive to SoFi, so I'm thinking about going to that game, but only if he plays and a couple of things that I can get, cleared up here at home might make me be a late traveler over there to the game. We'll see. But we definitely need Jaden Daniels back this week to play the Chargers. They're going to be pissed off by losing to the Giants, and now they're coming home in their friendly confines of SoFi, where, by the way, they have a problem with selling out that stadium because I'm sure a lot of Washington fans are going to be traveling over there to try to take over that stadium because they have a hard time. That is a total Rams stadium. Even though they share it, the Rams fans come out, but the Chargers fans don't. So we'll see how that happens. And you know, and I don't, there's a lot of injuries too. I think Malik Neighbors for the Giants is a big loss to the Giants. I mean, you hate to see a player like that of his caliber tear his ACL. That means we won't see him for probably the rest of the season. He'll be back next year, but you hate to see that happen. But that's a big weapon that the Giants lost, and I'm not quite sure if they have enough offensive firepower to make that up. With all their other wide receivers that they have, and the Chicago Bears. They had a big win with the Vegas Raiders last week, and they looked pretty good. Caleb Williams looked pretty good. They have a bye this week, though, right? They have a bye this week, but I must shout out the Bears because I have a lot of Bears fans, and I got to shout out the Patriots too because they beat up on the Panthers in convincing fashion. So I got to give them some love too. But you start looking around the league and you're saying to yourself, wow. And then, you've got the Seattle Seahawks that's kind of flying under the radar in the NFC West, right? So they got a lot of stuff going on this week. And I just don't know what to say about some of these games. I mean, I would say that if you're looking at the there's so many injuries. It's so many injuries. What do you make of just the injuries that's out there? I mean, we had Tyreek Hill with a lot of, dislocated his kneecap, tear his ACL, and it didn't look good last night. What do you think about the injuries, the bugs so far in the first month of the season? Just kind of harkening back to the injuries.
I feel like it's still a part of the the preseason stuff. They don't play during the preseason, so they're ramping up. But I mean, we're 4 games into the season now, but it's still kind of the getting back into the fold of everything. And a lot of injuries happen at the beginning of the season too. It's just hard when you have these guys going from like taking a break to like not playing in the preseason as much, and then you ramping them up really fast for the season. So I feel like I don't know if they need to change anything or get rid of the preseason, or because in the NCAA they don't play preseason games. They practice and then they play. When the season starts, they don't have a preseason. So I don't know if it's a waste of time to play preseason games and just ramp them up really fast and during the off-season workouts and stuff like that to make it where the injury. I mean, somebody is bound to happen. They're going to get injured, because it's football. Yeah. But
there's a lot. I mean, the quarterback injuries, I mean, the gruesome injuries to the star players is kind of concerning to me. And this is just maybe one of those odd years. But that opens up, that tips the balance of power, right? And I say these teams like Cleveland and some of these other teams have an opportunity to actually have a chance because these star players are out. Lamar Jackson's out. Jaden Daniels is out. He's coming back this week. Malik Neighbors is out. Joe Burrow is out. I mean, geez.
My friend, Facebook friend Angel said a lot of the injuries come out on fake grass, and that's true. But I feel like they're already anointing the Steelers as the AFC North champs now, because looking at everything that's around, right? They feel like they have the better shot because of their 3-1, and they have the quarterback there. I don't even care. I don't even want to talk about him. I don't know why he came to. I don't know why he came to our division. Made it harder for us. But I feel like making this change now to Dylan Gabriel would be a good idea. Good way of like seeing what we can do moving forward. Because
they played the Minnesota Vikings this week. Do you think this is a good game for Dylan Gabriel to show his talents?
I mean, we don't want to wait any longer. Like, we have to get it done now. Rip the Band-Aid off. We're not in Pop Warner anymore. Just you're a pro player now. Let's get it done. Because I feel like they both, Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel, can do better than what we've seen in Joe Flacco. Like just being able to extend plays is the way that we're gonna get better as an offense. We have to be able to extend plays. But I feel like Dylan Gabriel can. We'll see what he can do against a good defense in Minnesota. Like they're really good, but I worry about their offense. Given our defense turning the ball, getting them to turn the ball over, so we'll have more opportunities
Yep.
with Dylan Gabriel in this game. So I feel like they're going to rally around Dylan Gabriel to be able to see what he can do. They want to see a change because I'm sure the defensive players are like, dude, we can't even get a rest. We go off the field and we're back on because they're doing 3 and outs. When you look at the breakdown of the possessions, they're doing
Mm-hmm.
3 and outs and it's like 3 yards here, 11 yards, and like
Yeah.
they're barely working the possess. They don't possess the ball that long. So
No,
yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy. So, also some notable games. I mean, you have, Denver at Philly. That's going to be a good game. Again, you got kind of a West Coast team, traveling to Philadelphia. I think that's going to be a good game because Denver Broncos has a good defense, and they're going to have to put up. The Phillies are going to have to put up some points, and they're going to have to get AJ Brown and everybody into that game and get that running game going in order for them to beat Denver. And then you have I just got a feeling that the New England at Buffalo game is going to be really intriguing on Sunday night. You have an up and coming team with a good quarterback and a good coach going into Buffalo, and I think that game has that's on the upset alert for me. That game there, and then that Tampa Bay going to Seattle. I mean, that is going to be a good game too. Tampa
that
Bay going to
game.
Seattle.
But I see that's going to be a tough game because watching how Tampa Bay played in their last game, I don't feel like they can go to Seattle. That I've been to Seattle. I watched the Browns play in
Mm-hmm.
Seattle,
Yeah.
and that crowd, they call them a 12th man for a reason. Like
Mm-hmm.
that stadium gets really loud. So the quarterback doesn't have. They can't hear anything. I couldn't even
Mm-hmm.
hear my friend Jeff right next to me when I went
Yeah, you
there.
were
Like
there for a Browns game, weren't you?
yeah.
Yeah.
I went for a Browns game, and it was so loud. So it's like I don't feel. I mean, Baker is a good quarterback now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I feel like they have an opportunity because they have a good squad. But it's just like with
Yeah.
the injuries to Mike Evans, like it's and then now Bucky Irvin's hurt, so it's like
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work out. Rashad White is going to get a lot more opportunity to be the lead back, and Godwin came back last game. He got like 10 targets in the game, but only had 4 catches. We'll see. They have some pieces there to make it happen, but that Seahawks defense is really good, and playing with the 12th
Yeah.
man, it's kind of hard. So
With the 12th man is going to be good. So, Washington, we laid an egg this week. We knew. I mean, the Falcons was coming off a 30-0 tail whooping against the Panthers, and we knew that them coming home that they weren't going to have 2 bad weeks. And they fired their wide receiver coach, and here comes the Commanders traveling down to Atlanta. And we have a little bit of swag, right? We have a little swag. And Marcus Mariota was going back home, Dan Quinn going back home, and we got blitzed. I mean, we got beat up pretty bad, and our defense didn't look good. So the jury's still out on this team, but without Jaden Daniels there to bring us back and to being the stud and the superstar that he is, now he comes back potentially this week off of injury, traveling across to the West Coast, and he's playing a mad Chargers team. My expectation is that he's going to come back better. Our rushing attack is one of the top rushing attacks in the league, and I think Kingsbury sometimes gets real pass happy. But with Terry McLaurin still hurt, Deebo Samuel and some of our young players like McCaffrey and we have to start putting some wins together now, right? Because now we've got the Chargers, and then we come back on a Monday night to play the upstart Chicago Bears at home, and Chicago is going to want some payback from that win last year. That Hail Mary pass that derailed their season they're going to want some payback in that game, and they're playing better.
Yeah.
So, do you think the Commanders got a chance to win this game? I think they can win, but I'm a fan. Do you think that if Jaden Daniels come back, that they have a chance to go across and beat the Chargers after what you
Well,
saw the Chargers do last week?
I feel like the Chargers gonna be pissed,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I feel like the offensive side for the Chargers is gonna put up some numbers on y'all.
Mhm.
Just to be real, because
Yeah.
they look really good on the offensive side, and I feel like they in that Giants game, I feel like they took away. They didn't allow the other what's the other receiver? I'm having a brain fart right now. Um,
For
shoot,
for the
for the Chargers.
Chargers,
Yeah, the veteran. I'm having a brain fart,
yeah,
but
that's your boy.
uh, yeah, it's my boy I was talking about earlier. But he only had. I mean, uh, is it Johnston, the guy, the main receiver that was going off, but they shut down the other receiver. I forgot his name. I'm having a brain fart. Sorry. Um,
That's all right.
and I feel like they're going to open it up on the Washington Commanders this weekend.
Keenan Allen. Keenan
Keenan
Allen.
Allen, yeah, sorry, I'm
Yeah,
having I don't
yeah,
know
that's
why
all right.
it's
No, you
getting
good.
late,
You good.
but
Nah,
yeah, Keenan Allen, I feel like he's gonna go off in this game because they're back home and he didn't get enough touches in that Giants game, being outside of the dome too. When I'm telling you, dome teams when they go outside of the dome, it's a little
yeah,
different
it don't
game.
look the same.
It doesn't look the same when the Cowboys went to Chicago, a totally different team.
And
Um,
even though it was good weather, right? It
yeah,
was still
yeah.
good weather.
Yeah, but it's like it's just being something with being outside of the dome. I mean, I don't think every team does that, but yeah, it's tough. But
Yeah,
I feel like if Jaden Daniels is there, there's always a chance because I like his. He's Lamar Jackson 2.0, but he throws a little better, than Lamar
plays more
Jackson.
accurate. I
More
think
accurate.
anytime that
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels is in the game, that we're never out of a game. Like he don't we don't have a lot of blowouts when he starts, right? Because
Right.
he's gonna and I thought that what we were missing with Mariota is the RPO game, right? Mariota, he can scramble, but when you take away the RPO game without Jaden Daniels there, there's no threat of running. Now, there's so many things that we can do off the RPO game that we couldn't do with Mariota. We can do with Jaden Daniels. Now, you don't want him to run all the time to get hurt, right? But
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels has to be smart, and but you always have to honor that, and just that little fear, that end coming down with the
Yeah.
fear of Jaden Daniels taking off for 20 yards and getting out of bounds is a threat. And also they can fake that and throw a quick pass off of that, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot that I think that we lose without Jaden Daniels in the game, but they're going to have to be. I hope that they're not real conservative with Jaden Daniels if he does come back, because Cliff Kingsbury might say, "Well, we got to protect him, help him protect himself, so we can't call these RPOs." No, I think if he's out there to play, you should have your whole playbook open. And I'm looking to see that the Commanders going across to the West Coast. And I think that they're going to be a little bit bitter this week. And Jaden Daniels coming back, he might be that actual spark and that fire that they need to get themselves going. And I think that hopefully the defense plays a lot better. And I'm really not happy with Lattimore. Lattimore has been a disaster since he's come to us. And all he does is hold, right? He's holding he's holding people. He's getting a bunch of PIs. He's getting picked on. I think that the Washington Commanders should bench Lattimore and put Sanistril back on the outside with Amos on the outside, and then we need to put somebody else in the slot. But I think Lattimore needs to have a temporary spot on the bench, right? Because this is 4 games now, and we saw some games last season late that he didn't perform well. And I really think that we need to bench Lattimore, put Sanistril on the outside, because even though he's small, he played really, really well on the outside last season. And so we'll
Do you
see
think he
if the
needs to?
Commanders
Do
are
you think he
listening
needs
to
to
this
go?
podcast. We'll see.
Do you think he needs to go to another position to help out another spot, or is it just a
Well,
total
I
like?
think he can play safety, right? I think he can
Yeah,
probably play safety. And when these guys start getting long in the tooth, I mean, I know he's a Buckeye, right? When
yeah. I
these
was about to
guys
say
start,
I was about to point back there, but I didn't want to say
when these,
nothing.
I knew you
Leave
was
the
about to say it.
Buckeyes alone.
When these guys get long in the tooth, they need to start looking at safety position, right?
Grab it and they start
Because
grabbing. Yeah,
he started grabbing and holding, and I mean, he's almost like a rookie out there. He panics when that ball's in the air. Just play the ball, man. Don't touch the guy. Just play the ball because they know your game. They know you're in the aggressive corner. You don't think the referees know that too? So they're going to be looking to make these calls against you. The Dallas Cowboys going to the Jets. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys should win this game. But I saw some Justin Fields last night, and he had a nice little run. And they're going to be, hopefully they're looking to. Dallas should win this game. I'm not going to say nothing about this. Dallas should win this game. That game's not even intriguing to me, right? Detroit going to Cincinnati. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. You got some games here that you're just saying, man, I'm not even going to watch.
Good for fantasy. Good for fantasy.
Yeah, good for fantasy. Tennessee going to Arizona. I mean, Arizona. I mean, you should be piling up. You should be running up the scoreboard against the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, y'all should be. Right? Everybody that plays fantasy, you better get that Cardinals defense.
Yeah, get the Cardinals defense, and you need to get Marvin Harrison too, right? Because Marvin Harrison should have a good game in that game. And then you have the Raiders going to Indy. Tough game for the Raiders. Tough game for the Raiders going to Indy. We did see Ashton Genty have over 100 yards rushing last week. And he actually looked like the guy that they thought that they were going to have before they when they drafted him.
You know why?
Yeah.
You know why? They let him get back to his Michael Myers stance.
Yeah.
Because the offensive coordinator Chip Kelly didn't want him to do that. So once he went back to his stance, everything changed back to where
everything changed, right? But I mean, the Raiders got problems at quarterback. I mean, they got problems at quarterback. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to work out over there. I don't know. Throwing too much. So, I mean, gosh, the Vikings and Cleveland. I mean, these are some bad games this week, right? The only thing that we can hope for is our teams win, right? The Commanders get it'll be a big win. The Commanders win. And if Cleveland beats Minnesota, they're back in the race. They're back in the North race. We're 2 games behind Philly, the Commanders, but we have Dallas Cowboys sitting over. I mean, Dallas Cowboys know how to fill out the sheet, right? 1, 2, and 1, right? They know how to fill. They got a ticker in every category, right? So, there's not much really to say about a lot of these games this week. You got 4 teams that's on a bye week this week: Atlanta, the Chicago Bears, the Green Bay Packers, and Pittsburgh. So those teams have got an early week 5 bye. And I'm not quite sure if it's a benefit to have an early bye, or would you like that towards the end of the year when you're, or what?
I'd rather have it early because you going, pretty much you're going nonstop until if you have it like week 14, you're going nonstop and having to grind all the way to the week 14. I'd rather get a break at the beginning because I can get refreshed and ready for the grind for the long haul for the playoffs. So, that's me. But
I mean, I think if I would like the Commanders to have it. I would love to have them week 5, right? Or somewhere in the middle. But the last couple of years, the NFL haven't been kind to us. They give it to us, towards the end of the season where everybody's all beat up and everything. So I don't really like that. Thursday night games should be interesting, though. You got San Fran going to the Rams, right? San Fran coming down the coast, right? Going to LA down the coast. I mean, it's a quick flight, 45-minute flight down the coast, about an hour flight, whatever. And that's going to be a really good game. I think this is going to be a really intriguing Thursday night game because both of these teams are, I think they both have 1 loss. So now you have the division there, and everybody's kind of bunched up at 3-1 in that division.
Well, it's going to be a tough game for San Francisco because Purdy, I think Pearsall, and one other receiver they're questionable. They may be out for this game again. So Purdy might be out again. I heard that on
Purdy might be out.
Yeah, I heard it on NFL radio earlier today. So I think they they have three of their main guys out again, so it might be a
Some of his old injuries that he had
well
last
the
a
toe
couple weeks
injury,
ago.
yeah, the toe
Oh,
injury, and I feel like I mean it's gonna be a McCaffrey week. They're gonna have to probably stop McCaffrey. Um, that's probably what's gonna happen.
yeah, I didn't know that that was a storyline that Purdy was going to be out. But yeah, if
Yeah.
Purdy's out, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough sledding.
He's
Um,
questionable with the toe. He's questionable, so he may play and may not. They're already talking about the backup coming back in. So
yeah, I mean, well, Mac Jones. I mean, he's kind of like the guy. I mean, I
yeah,
think he's going to make himself a lot of money next season, right?
yeah.
If they decide to trade him, or if, I'm not sure what his contract looks like in San Fran, but I mean, Mac Jones. A lot of these guys are having, they start off as rookies and they don't do well, and then they hide for 3 or 4 years and learn the game and sit behind some starters, and then they come back, 2.0, right?
Well, it depends on what team they get drafted to too. Just like when you have players going to when they get drafted high in the draft, if they get drafted high, they go into a sorry team usually.
Yeah.
And that was the Patriots when he got drafted. But at that point, but there's
Yeah, we'll
and just
see.
like Baker Mayfield coming to the Browns, you can say that too.
boy, boy, I know. So to end the night here, we know we got to talk about Shadur Sanders, right? Because Rex Ryan said that there's a he basically said, hey, get to the front and basically get to the front and start hanging out of the back and get your head in the game. That's boom boom. So you have a former coach that says that this is what he heard, and if he heard it, then so does the rest of the league know about it. And I know we had a discussion today about Shadur Sanders. I didn't like when Shadur Sanders basically said that, hey, I like something to the effect that there's 32 quarterbacks in the league, and he feels that he's either better or can do just as good as them. I didn't really like that comment that he made last week. And my biggest thing is keep doing what you're doing. Prove to your teammates that you're going to work hard and you're going to support the quarterback room there in Cleveland. And just be quiet. Don't say nothing about, none of the starters in the NFL because you're not one and you might not ever be one if you keep running your mouth.
So like I told you earlier, every beat writer that I've heard talk about Shadur Sanders, every time they see him, they're not talking about how bad of a player he is, how he doesn't show up for practice and like do what he's supposed to be doing. I don't know where he got that from. I don't know where Rex Ryan got it from, but I feel like it could be a ploy for Stefanski maybe to have a veteran guy that controls the narrative in the media. The media controls the narratives of like what's going on in the NFL, and like the NFL could have said say this about him, because if the NFL can say don't draft Shadur for five round, whatever it is, because they told the Browns to do it after, because it came out, a Hall of Fame player said that it happened, and they came out and said the Browns.
But wait a minute, but Shadur said this about the starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
Well, I
So
know,
I
but I'm
mean,
trying to
you
get
kind of
there.
said that. You kind of said earlier that well,
yeah, let me
I don't
finish
have
my
a problem
thought.
with
Let me finish my thought, because I was
it. Okay.
working towards that, because when you have all these narratives being created for him, even though he said what he said, I understand what you're saying about, just put your head down and grind and do what you got to do. But at the same time, like, he got Flacco in front of him, man. Like, I'm going to say, I feel like I'm better than Flacco. Dylan Gabriel feels like, but Dylan Gabriel didn't say it, of course, but he's more reserved than Shadur. They're asking Shadur Sanders because he's going to give them something to talk about, or like they asked him so many questions. I mean, and the way they preface the question is like they knew they were going to get that same kind of answer, so they knew
But
what they were doing.
They got a sound bite.
Yeah, but he's not gonna, like, I don't see anything wrong with it. I want a confident quarterback. I want a quarterback that's confident in themselves. Baker was the same way. Manziel was the same way. Even though they didn't pan out with us, they had sound bites. Baker's doing sound bites in Tampa Bay right now. but he's a starting quarterback and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Well,
But at the same
I don't
time,
think
like
Shador should say anything about any starting quarterback because he's not one, and he's not on the caliber level yet to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. So he has to work his way there. Now, when he get into the starting role and he start to actually win some football games, and he's a starting quarterback and he's been there before, that's when he can say something about starting quarterbacks. But because he's third string right now, I don't think he should open his mouth about being a starting quarterback or
well, that's
anything
my
to
whole
say
point too,
anything
because
about a starting
he
quarterback.
shouldn't have been a third string quarterback because of the NFL set that up that way. Made him go to a team that was that quarterbacks go to die. That's what they were banking on, and his jersey sales went up when it happened. All this stuff happened. It backfired on the NFL. So
Yeah, I
he's in
mean,
this position he's in because of the NFL.
I
So
think he'll play this year because if they start Gabriel in against the Vikings, he might have to be ready to play. And I think that I'm not sure if Flacco circles back around to number two if something happens to Gabriel, if Gabriel starts. But I do agree that Shador might get his shot this season. But it's only because the Browns would think that the season is lost or there would be an injury, right?
yeah, but I
I
think
don't think he should say anything else. I think he should just keep his head to the ground, keep working hard, the scout team, whatever he can to stay sharp. And then when his time comes, go ahead and prove everybody wrong.
he just needs more time with the first team. I mean, once he gets the thing about it, he hasn't even had protection from the first team yet. Like I feel like
Yeah,
like even Dylan Gabriel, like any, but I guess Dylan Gabriel had more time with the first team. But if you have Shador playing with the first team, you can actually see what he's going to do. They haven't got him to that point yet, so they just like dude, like you're not that good because you couldn't play against certain players on the team that I don't know. It was weird how they did him in the
yeah,
preseason. Like they had him playing with guys that they cut the next day, so it's like you can't get a full. I don't know. Stefanski, Dylan Gabriel, Stefanski's guy, so he doesn't want to be proven wrong. So I don't trust anything that Stefanski does right now because how long he kept Flacco out there. And I
yeah,
feel like Dylan Gabriel's hopefully he can do something. I'm a Dylan Gabriel fan. When he played against Ohio State, he played really well against us in the beginning of the season last year. But I feel like I think his size is going to be the issue.
yeah.
Just say that.
I think so too. I mean, Drew Brees is now on first take, on some days and stuff. And Drew Brees was a short guy too, but he managed to be Hall of Fame type caliber
Yeah,
quarterback.
true,
And
true.
we don't know what Dylan Gabriel is going to do, but we're going to have to wrap this up, and we'll continue the conversation next week on Week 6. And this has been previewing the NFL Week 5 with Lonnie and Tony. Good night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.